Right.
No. Do you want to do that again? I'm sorry.
Okay, yeah, no problem.
Please.
Come on, Edward. Speaking to the microphone.
Good morning. I am Honorable Edward Preda, the chairperson of Association of Physically Challenged the Gambia. Our office is located in Brikama, and also the nominated councillor representing the differently able persons at the Brikama Area Council West Coast Region. Thank you.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Lamin MCC, second Vice President of Gambia Federation of Disabled. Also, Development Officer at the Gambia Association of Deaf and Hard of Hearing. I am happy to welcome the UDP delegate. This is the first time visit of opposition leader at our office. We are very happy to receive you people. Here is the office of Gambia Federation of Disabled. But the office is now is under lancing, and the lancing is there. We don't have our own office. We are using here with the help of Gambia Association of Visual Impairment. They give us this office to use and continue, but our time here is finished. So I'm very happy to see the UDP delegate. So I think I have to stop here and give opportunity to my boss who arrived now. Also, maybe I will give
Good morning, everyone. I am Adamasa. I'm a member of the Association of Gambia Albinos, and I am the treasurer of the Gambia Federation of the Disabled as well.
No, that's the chairman. Who's last? Okay. So my name is Rod Halls. Okay. I'm a volunteer here with GFD. I've been here 6 years. For the last couple of years, I've been acting executive director. How shall I put this? Obviously, I'm a retired guy, and I have just shy of 20 years political experience in the UK, not as an MP, but at the second and third tiers, and then with those tiers doing it nationally as well as locally. So I have a very wide breadth of political experience, okay? But one thing I never do is I do not push my politics, okay? I use politics as a tool, all right? Because politics is a very good way of negotiating, all right? And listening to the other person's point of view, whether you like it or not, all right? Looking for areas of agreement and accepting the fact that you have differences. So for me, it worked quite well. I like to engage. We've just had the disability bill be heard on Monday and Tuesday. And I got the opportunity to speak to quite a few of the NAMs. And I got a good understanding of where they were coming from. But one of the other things I would mention is one of the big problems that surrounds persons with disabilities in the Gambia.
I'm sorry, Edie. Since your chairman is here, and some of our team have already come, we may have to do the introductions again, and then the story. I think it's too important for it to be...
I just want to make one really important point.
No problem.
Okay. Now, the World Health Organization, right, has said that 1 in 7 people in the world, globally, suffer from a disability or an impairment, right? That's an unchallenged figure. If you interpret that to the Gambia's population, okay, that means you have 320,000 plus disabled people in this country. And that works out at about 15% of the population. And that 15% are just left at the end of the queue, all right, ignored, all right, not understood by the able-bodied people. And that is my message is, really, that the able-bodied need to, right, begin to understand and take the trouble to understand what it is like and what it means to be a person with disabilities or a person with an impairment. Because until that happens, progress is going to be painfully, painfully slow. Right, I now pass you over to my chairman, who will add his comments.
But before your chairman, because he was not here when we were doing the introduction, I want to introduce our team to the chairman.
Oh, okay.
So that he can also respond.
Very nice. Sorry.
Good morning, Your Worship. Welcome to this meeting. Today, the United Democratic Party, under the leadership of Alhaji Ousainou Darboe, part of its agenda is to interact with as broad a spectrum as possible of Gambian society. The last few days, we've been in and around. We went to Tanka Tanka, we went to the Victim Center, we visited with the mayor of KMC to understand really where all these marginalized, or if not marginalized, ignored entities are. So this morning we are here with the Federation of the Differently Able. With me is the party leader, lawyer Ousainou Darboe, and the senior administrative secretary, Mrs. Olidiba Wada, the youth secretary general, Kemo Bojang, and Alhaji Babu Sar, councillor for the differently able for KMC. Yes. Welcome, councillor. Alhaji Babu Sar, a senior member of the party, a member of Central Committee of the party, and my friend and brother, Sehu Kamara, the author, member of the party. This is our delegation, chairman. With your permission, we are here to hear and understand the constraints, the challenges of the differently able. You have distinguished yourself as a legal practitioner, being the first to serve on the bench with a differently able person. I was very honored to be one of your lecturers all those years ago. So I'm very proud and very pleased that we are in your presence this morning. Thank you very much for seeing the party leader and his delegation.
Okay, good morning, and thank you very much for that detailed introduction. I am His Worship Mohammed Krubali, Principal Magistrate of Bruceby Magistrates Court, and President of Gambia Federation of the Disabled, known as GFD. Before I proceed, I must honestly extend the appreciation of Gambia Federation of the Disabled on behalf of all persons with disabilities to this distinguished team led by Learned Counsel Alhaji Ousainou Darboe and his distinguished team here present. This is indeed a very, very, very appreciative and welcoming visit to the Federation. Gambia Federation of the Disabled is definitely a legally registered federation on behalf of all persons with disabilities in the Gambia. Gambia Federation of the Disabled is the umbrella organization of federation for all persons with disabilities in the Gambia. The Federation advocates for the fundamental rights and freedoms of persons with disabilities in the Gambia. Some of the rights that include the right to education, the right to employment, the right to transportation, the right to all, related fundamental rights anyway per se. So currently we have 18 disabled people organizations in the Gambia by virtue of categories. Visually impairment, there is a Gambia organization of the visually impaired, currently registered under the Federation as a DPO. Gambia Association of Deaf and Hard of Hearing, called GADHO, is registered under the Federation and is a member. You have Gambia Amputee Association, is registered under the Federation and they are a member. You have Gambia Association of Physically Disabled, GAPD, they are a member of the Federation. You also have Gambia Organization for Learning Difficulties, GOLD. Those are with those with mental impairment. They are part of the Federation and they are a member. You also have Start Now, which is also another visually impaired organization that is concentrating on technology. You have OSDV, Association of Visually Impaired for Inclusive Society. They are also a visually impaired organization. You have those with Down syndrome, autism, and other forms of disabilities. So you can see that the Federation has definitely Herculean task at least to play. We continue to advocate over the television, over the radio station, newspapers, and even at Bantabas, just to ensure that the fundamental rights and freedoms of persons with disabilities are protected, promoted, and respected. So obviously, as per the Constitution of Gambia Federation of the Disabled, just like any other organization, shared at least a single statement that says Gambia Federation of the Disabled is non-political, non-governmental, non-sectarian, and non-profit organization. However, the Federation's door is widely open for any individual, parastatals, organizations, government, or even to non-governmental organization. Because obviously our mission and vision is that we partner and network with all those that really wish to share our common vision together. And of course you can see that we have very, very, very good individuals definitely so concerned, just like this other important visit, is to come to the Federation to interact with persons with disabilities and to understand why the vulnerable group are being marginalized. So this is a very good visit to show concern and to know what are our plights, what are our challenges, and how to find solutions to these challenges continuously faced by persons with disabilities, especially the Federation, that is the umbrella federation on behalf of persons with disabilities. The first challenge which we have, as my first vice president has said, the Federation, the umbrella federation, that is the voice or the focal points for all persons with disabilities, does not have land on its own. So right now, this office we are even using is leased, and the lease has expired. In fact, as per our terms and conditions agreement, the building should even be now forfeited to Govi, because the lease has expired. The Federation does not have its own land. The second challenge is this: mobility is also key, as we are all aware that transportation is our rallying cry. Movement is definitely not easy for persons with disability, especially the physically challenged that are on wheelchairs, those that are using crutches. Taxi drivers usually show that reluctance in order to carry them with their taxis because they feel it's going to be a waste of time. That also applies to other commercial drivers. So mobility is also key. We definitely need vehicle. Apart from that, we're talking of health care and health services. You can see that persons with disabilities actually do not also have that adequate health care and health services to hospital or treatment or to other health centers. Education is also another challenge. that we always advocate that persons with disabilities should be given opportunities, should be given the right platform in order to be given scholarship to attend education from primary up to tertiary or higher level. So lack of finance is also a problem, because indeed for Federation to advocate effectively for persons with disabilities and for us to partner and network, so finance is also important. Like here, in fact, as we are talking, we have problems, in order to compensate even our staff, that should give them that, willingness at least to work with the Federation. Like we need, an executive director who can be put on salary, a program officer, an admin assistant, an accountant. But since COVID-19, actually came into existence, it really poses a lot of challenge and threat. So we are seeing how we can build back together, at least, especially during, this pandemic and even post-pandemic, period. Like this is why we were unable to pay salaries, because some of the donors that were helping could no longer help. So obviously it poses a lot of challenges. It also, led to a lot of unemployment for persons with disabilities, because our movements were restricted. Persons with disabilities could not go out in order to earn a living, and some were even considered redundant, because employers have clearly indicated that they could no longer pay, and they do not really, have the finance to do so. So there are really many challenges, and today is Friday. We consider it a half day, and I know your team obviously also has something to say to us. So in light of the foregoing, we definitely call on again individuals like Alhaji Ousainou Darboe, who really made a very important visit to the Federation that we appreciate and welcome. The government, the non-governmental organizations, parastatals, to come forward and stand in solidarity with persons with disabilities, so that we can ensure equality, non-discrimination, amongst. So these are some of the few words I have to relay. I thank you very much for the visit.
Before the party leader himself speaks to some of the issues that you have raised. I am aware of the work that you guys are doing in a voluntary capacity. We've met your acting executive director, and I can tell you for a fact that Mr. Darboe is not only a champion of the rule of law, but he's a son of a Majlis. He has all his life been exposed to dealing with people with disability or people who cannot advocate for themselves. And we feel choosing the Gambia Federation of the Disabled is necessary to not only mainstream their activities and their involvement in society, but to also recognize that the marginalization and the stigmatization that goes with disability is something that is actually taking our country backwards. So the UDP, as a commitment, is reaching out to all sectors of society and want to build a very inclusive nation where everybody, whatever your ability is, you are in a good position to serve your community, to serve your people as far as is possible. So on that note, I will pass the mic to Mrs. Olidibawada, a mother, and as a civil society activist and international expert in gender mainstreaming, and I'm sure she will have some words of encouragement, words of wisdom to share with you. Mrs. Wade.
Thank you very much, Mr. Tal. Good morning to you all. Good morning, party leader. Good morning, Mr. Chairman and your team. Thank you again, Almami. I think, we've heard this. I think for us within the United Democratic Party, the visit is not political per se. The purpose of this visit is us as individuals, as people, living within society, I think being more concerned, familiarizing ourselves with the realities of people that are being marginalized, and understanding and appreciating. As the United Democratic Party's, one of its key mandates is inclusivity and diversity. And our manifesto really outlines the key areas that we want to do to support. You talked about the areas of education and health. And I think these are two of the very strong pillars that we have on our 5-point agenda to ensure that we provide opportunities for people of all ages, of all gender, of all diversity. I think this is a lesson for us. As you've already highlighted, it's very difficult. One of the key areas that we will also look at is building constructions that do not take into consideration people with physical disabilities and accessing. But I wouldn't say much because I want to, our party leader will really delve more into that. But I think engaging and trying to, as part of our mandate, to look at inclusivity and diversity and bringing everyone on board, given the current situation, social situation we have in this country, one of the key areas that the United Democratic Party wants to engage in is inclusive, social cohesion for all types of people, irrespective of who you are, what your status is, and also respecting and appreciating diversity, and not just paying lip service to it, but really putting our money where our mouth is. I think in the 21st century, we cannot afford to be talking in a vacuum or to be speaking in a vacuum of people. And you guys, I think hearing from you is a lesson that we learn, and it also reinforces what we already have in our manifesto and our 5-point of bringing together every Gambian, irrespective of who you are and where you come from. So thank you.
Chairman, Your Worship, it's now my singular honor to invite the Secretary General and Party Leader of the United Democratic Party, a Deputy Doyen of the Bar. So that is also for your information.
I have missed your court since Bundu, and really I'm having some nostalgic, feelings of the courtroom. Because,
And the ruling was definitely in your favor.
yes, yes. And indeed, Chairman, I know that you have come a long way to become a magistrate. You are a clerk in the courts, and you really made it clear that with determination, nobody is disabled. Just have to have the determination. In my own novice way of categorizing persons with disability is only those whose mental capacity are non-comportmentalists. These I consider as people really disabled. But other than that, anyone whose mental faculty is functioning should not be considered as a person with disability, because they can do anything that whose physical structures permit. They can do what they can do. He was blind. We have ministers in other parts of the world, parliamentarians in other parts of the world, who are actively engaged in politics, which is one of the probably taxing vocation, But once the mental, having said this, we are here to have first-hand knowledge of the problems of persons with disabilities. We cannot go to each and every federation. Since you have an umbrella organization that speaks for all of them, that umbrella organization is au fait with the problems of all institutions, of all organizations that are labeled with some form of disability. We feel that this is important because you should not be making policies in abstract. You have to have real situations so that when you are dealing with any problem, at the back of your mind, you have particular problems that you have seen yourself, you have felt yourself. And this, we believe, will help you in really shaping and formulating policies with respect to any particular issues on a particular class of people. That is why we are here. And our own UDP's approach, and this is being, I'm not being political, I'm not being political because it's not uncommon for opposition parties to really visit institutions, because every opposition party is a government in waiting. So you ought to know the problems of the institutions. We have in our central committee the highest decision-making body of the party other than the Congress, Mr. Bahum, to represent the views of persons with disability, so that our party, when we are party, really pursuing matters pertain to the federation, he will be our focal person. He will be the person that will be our spokesperson when it comes to issues affecting persons with disabilities. And this shows our inclusiveness. It also shows our diversity. It also shows that we at the party level believe that every Gambian who is compos mentis has a role to play in the politics of this country, and they can do it effectively. I'm happy that Mr. Pereira is also a councillor at the Brikama Area Council. All this are demonstrative of the fact that they are not persons with disabilities. They may be physically challenged, but then they are very able. Otherwise, he would not be, or they would not be put in institutions that have been tasked with the responsibility of shaping the destiny of this country. So I think let us try and have a rethink of whether we consider them as persons with disabilities. Maybe we should start to rethink, because for me that is relegating them to a position of inferiority. That is discriminatory, and that discrimination we cannot promote by giving them a description that really does not in reality fit them. 2 or 3 days ago, I was following the news, and I saw that the albinism has been under, and I was infuriated. I said, but why segregate? Why segregate? After all, you have an albino child, a sibling of an albino child not being an albino. Why do you have to segregate them? There are, I think, Jubairo is one of the most intelligent Gambians, one of the most hardworking Gambians. Why do they have to be segregated in that category of albinos? They have to be given same different treatment. They have to be treated differently. In promoting that, we are really stigmatizing them. And we should not promote that stigmatization. They should feel, or be made to feel, that they are as much part of this society as Mrs. Wada is. Why don't you discriminate? Why don't you put Mrs. Wada and people in this category in a category that people probably look down on? Now, these are things that we believe. We have to have a complete awareness campaign, an aggressive awareness campaign, so that people cease to think about this category of people as being persons with disabilities. Because the moment you have disability, I mean, it's not physical disability. That you are not an inability to do what? So this is our view, and that we are here really to tell you that this is our thinking, and certainly we would want to influence policies, with regard to people who are really being considered as persons with disabilities. We believe that you have to have special arrangements, because when we talk about youth empowerment, youth employment, the one in the wheelchair who has not been able to go beyond grade 9, what do you do for him when it comes to terms of skills training? What environment do you create for them so that they can also benefit from skills training programs? Adult literacy for the blind, the blind old woman or others in the provinces. What can you arrange for them for adult literacy? What do you do to get all these people who are in the streets begging? Because sometimes here, disability is associated with the ability to beg, to go on begging so that you can make a living. What do we do to really stop that, so that they can also be gainfully employed? These are the issues that have been agitating our minds, and we believe that we should really come to your institution, touch base with you, and have, as we have, been very adequately briefed by the chairman, so that our policy content, we can really improve on our policy content. The issue of assistance, you say you don't have executive secretary and so forth. I don't want to be political here, but I think it is appropriate that we make an appeal to the social welfare department, Minister of Social Welfare, to really help in that direction. Provide 2 or 3 personnel at government expense. Put them on government payroll, and assist you in the running of your institution. I think that can be done. If you are asking assistance from philanthropists and other NGOs, and I think really, as a ministry responsible for your welfare, Minister of Social Welfare, I want to believe that an approach could be made to them to provide you with this needed personnel at the expense of the government of the Gambia. And if this message gets out to my colleagues in cabinet, I think this is something that's worthy to be considered until a certain time that your association is financially strong to be able to hire your own staff. But in the meantime, I believe that this should be something that should be done. And I want to say that we will not make it a political issue, but I think we will make necessary approaches so that assistance could come in this area. But again, I thank you all for really giving us, the audience, the opportunity to talk to you and to hear the problems of the Federation. And I say whatever you said here affects all other member organizations of your Federation. We hope that we will, either at the level of the National Assembly or at some other level, we will cooperate with you. I can assure you that anything that affects your organization or members of the organization in their corporate body, not individuals, but as a corporate body. And it comes to the National Assembly, our parliamentarians will stand by you, because by the description of disability, any member of the National Assembly can become a disabled person, because you have included in it amputees. Any member of the cabinet can be a person with disability, because they can become an amputee. In this age, when you have diabetes, rampant, accidents, and some of these accidents, motor traffic accidents, result in amputations of limbs. And of course, with the diabetes, when proper care has not been taken and you are affected, it leads to amputation, so that nobody in society can say with any degree of certainty that I cannot belong to this category of people. So it must be our business, all of us, to ensure that this organization is given the maximum support, and so that if we become members, we will then be supporting ourselves. Thank you very much, Your Worship.
Your Excellency, thank you very much for those compassionate words and words of encouragement to the work that is being done here. Mr. Chairman, this was our mission this morning. We wish you all Juma Mubarak, and we take leave of you and hope to continue this engagement as we progress on our journey to leading this country. Thank you very much, Your Worship. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.